Ash once beat a ground-type Pokemon with an electric move that literally cannot hit ground types. And somehow the rules bent every single time he needed them to. This is every time Ash Ketchum cheated, ranked. Regis is a legendary Pokemon with base 200 defense, literally one of the most physically durable creatures in the entire franchise. And Ash's Pikachu just folded it in one hit. Brandon's Regis had just tanked multiple attacks seconds before this moment. Then Pikachu lands 1-volt tackle at full power, and Regis apparently forgets it's a legendary with monstrous defensive stats and just drops. The commentators couldn't explain the damage math. Presumably nobody in the writer's room ran the damage math. And somehow this counted as a clean, legitimate victory with 0 asterisk. S tier. Because technically, Volt Tackle isn't illegal, just statistically insulting. Raiden is a ground-type Pokemon. Ground types are immune to electric move, and yet, Ash, staring down Blaine's Raiden at the Cinnabar gym with 0 options left, just tells Pikachu to aim for the horn. That's it. That's the strategy. Blaine and fans are shocked. Physicists are presumably drafting letters. Raiden drops, Ash grabs the volcano badge, and nobody stops to ask why a ground type just got electrocuted through its forehead. There's no horn conduction loophole in any game, rulebook, or any supplementary material. The writers apparently just didn't know ground types were immune, called it creative, and moved on. A tier. Charizard is sitting down in the middle of an official league match, on fire, burning Ash, literally. And the referee is just standing there. Pokemon League rules require a trainer to maintain control of their battling Pokemon. That is the whole premise of being a trainer. Ash's Charizard openly defied every command, torched its own trainer mid-match, and napped on the battlefield like it owned the place. This happened across multiple official tournament battles, including the Indigo League Conference, and not a single official raised the flag. There's apparently no rule against fielding a Pokemon that is actively hostile to the person fielding it. The wild part is, Ash kept sending it out. Opponents had to beat a Pokemon that wouldn't follow orders, which made it more unpredictable and harder to counter. Charizard eventually decided to try, won a few bouts on pure talent, and the show treated it like a heartwarming loyalty arc. It is not a loyalty arc. It is an unregistered liability competing in sanctioned matches while the refs quietly pretended trainer control rules don't exist. S tier. The Squirtle Squad weren't even his, not officially. During Ash's early gym run, he casually deployed a gang of delinquent Squirtles as situational backup. Pokemon with no formal roster slot, nothing. The 6 Pokemon party rule exists specifically to prevent this kind of freelance reinforcement, and Ash just quietly ignored it before anyone thought to check. The Squirtle Squad had their own agenda, leader, and their own sunglasses. Ash basically borrowed a street gang for gym prep, and the show treated it like wholesome teamwork. B tier. Rowlet falls asleep mid-battle, not hurt, just genuinely, peacefully, deeply asleep in the middle of the Alola League semifinal, which is somehow a different problem entirely. Here's the full breakdown. During the Alola League semifinals, Rowlet takes enough damage that it stops moving completely. The referee reads the situation the only way any referee logically could. Rowlet is down, Rowlet is out, Ash loses the Pokemon. Call made. Match continuing. Except then, Rowlet wakes up, just opens its eyes, blinks, and apparently decides it's ready to go again. And the ref, with 0 rulebook to stand on and apparently 0 interest in defending his own ruling, reverses the call on the spot. There is no clause in any established Pokemon battle framework that says, if the Pokemon was just napping and not actually fainted, we'll give it back. That distinction does not exist. A KO call is a KO call. The ref didn't consult anyone, quietly decided the first ruling didn't happen. The thing is, this was the semi-final of an entire regional tournament. Ash's entire bracket run depended on Rowlet staying active. One reverse call by one very confused official, and suddenly Ash gets to keep a Pokemon that was already ruled defeated. And Rowlet's defense here is essentially, I was tired. which sounds like a medical exemption that definitely should not count during competitive play. C tier. The ref handed Ash that one for free. Greninja doesn't evolve. That's the first thing you need to understand. Ash Greninja isn't a mega evolution, it is a species, exclusive bond phenomenon that triggers when Ash and Greninja's hearts sync during combat, physically transforming Greninja mid-match into a supercharged alternate form with boosted speed, power, and a giant water shuriken the size of a small moon. And this happens during official league matches, repeatedly. Every other trainer in the bracket is working with the Pokemon they registered, fixed physical form. Ash's Greninja can mid-battle restructure itself into an entirely different combat configuration because the two of them have feelings about each other. The Kalos League rulebook apparently had no clause for trainer, emotion triggers illegal power surge. Nobody flagged it. The refs watched a Pokemon physically transform during a sanctioned match and collectively decided that was fine. Bond phenomenon isn't available to other trainers. There's no counter strategy, no item you can buy. Ash just gets it because Greninja picked him. Which sounds like the judges awarded a bonus round to one competitor and told everyone else it wasn't their turn. B tier, technically unprecedented, which is somehow a legal defense. Aura interference. Ash develops an unexplained psychic ability called Aura that lets him sense energy fields, communicate telepathically with Pokemon mid-battle, and preview opponent moves before they happen. No rulebook addresses this. Ash just quietly woke up one day with the powers of Sir Aaron, a legendary Aura Guardian from ancient lore, and nobody at the Pokemon League thought to ask follow-up questions. There's something strange about that boy's aura. Obviously, because most boys aren't cheating with metaphysics. C tier, legal by default, because undefined apparently means permitted. Then there's Totodile. Ash's water type literally stops mid-battle to perform a full choreographed dance routine, and the opposing Pokemon gets so distracted it can't function. That's not a battle tactic, that's psychological warfare dressed in jazz hands. No rule in any league handbook covers opponent too entertained to fight back. Totodile, use your dance. And it works, obviously, because Ash found the one loophole smaller than a Pokeball and somehow drove a Lapras through it. D tier. The counter shield. Ash watches Dawn spin her Pokemon through attacks during contest performances to deflect moves and look flashy in front of judges. That's a contest mechanic. Contests have their own rule set, scoring system, and everything else. It has nothing to do with battle leagues. And then Ash just takes it, repurposes the entire technique as a defensive battle strategy in official matches, where spin deflecting incoming attacks isn't a game mechanic and has never been acknowledged by any referee on this show. No, excuse me, sir, where did you get that? The thing is, Dawn invented this for applause, not victory points. Ash converted someone else's performance art into a combat exploit, and nobody checked the rulebook once. B tier. Pikachu never evolved. That's the heartwarming part. LT. Surge had a fully evolved Raichu with raw power advantages across the board, and Ash leaned into the underdog narrative so hard the show framed it as brilliant strategy. And technically, it was. Pikachu's unevolved status preserved a speed ceiling Raichu physically couldn't access anymore. Agility spam, quick attacks, the whole package. But here's the thing, Surge had zero equivalent option. He already pressed evolve. There's no unevolve button. Ash exploited a permanent, irreversible decision his opponent already made and called it tactical creativity. Which, sure, that's also just winning chess by letting your opponent resign early. C tier. Ash's Lucario Mega evolves mid-tournament. During official Masters 8 competition, the highest level bracket in the entire anime, Mega Evolution has a known, documented hardware requirement. You need a keystone bonded to the trainer and a corresponding Mega Stone on the Pokemon. Every other Mega user in the show wears the keystone visibly, and then Ash apparently just vibes his way into it. The bond between Ash and Lucario somehow substitutes for the physical items every other competitor had to actually acquire. No stone ceremony. No trainer backstory explaining how he sourced the Megastone. Just Lucario going full crystalline mid-fight because Ash felt really strongly about it. Which sounds exactly like what it looks like. Ash quietly bypassing the equipment check at the door while everyone else paid full admission. B tier. Darkrai, Ghost type. Immunities stacked like a legal defense team, and Ash sends out Sceptile and somehow wins anyway. Darkrai in the Lily of the Valley Conference should be an absolute wall against this matchup. Ghost and Dark typing gives it immunities that Sceptile's moveset has no business bypassing. The show offers zero mechanical explanation for how a Grass type closes that gap against the Legendary with this defensive profile. Nobody in the stadium thought to ask how, which sounds exactly like what it is. The games have had Darkrai since 2006. Its immunities aren't obscure. Somebody in the writing room knew. C tier. Pikachu's Iron Tail is a Steel-type move. Its literal function is to strike things. And yet Ash deploys it repeatedly as an improvised mid-air deflection system against incoming attacks, moves that, by type matchup logic, should be landing clean. No rule in any region's Battle Frontier handbook covers using your Pokemon's tail as a traffic cone. Nobody reaches for anything apparently. Creative? Obviously. Legal? Somebody would have to find the rule first. B tier. Blaze is technically a legal ability. It exists in the game, printed on the card. It activates when HP drops below 1/3. But here's the thing, Blaze is also a hidden ability, which means opponents scouting Infernape's moveset before the Sinnoh League have no official mechanism to predict when it triggers or how dramatically it spikes output. One moment they're managing a wounded Pokemon. Next moment, that Pokemon is running a biological overclock. Nobody budgeted for in their battle strategy. Ash's Infernape activates it in official league matches, leaning into the near KO window, weaponizing the edge of defeat as a power source. That's not illegal. It's just an ability that converts you almost won into congratulations, you lost. A tier. Now Ash isn't even using his own Pokemon. On multiple occasions across the series, Ash steps into battle wielding Pokemon that are, technically, not registered to him. Larvitar and Johto got battlefield time. Gudra returned mid-arc during the Kalos League after being released to a wetlands habitat, essentially coming out of retirement for Ash's roster without any formal re-registration process shown on screen. And the thing is, official tournament rules in competitive Pokemon require declared rosters. You register your 6 before the bracket starts. You don't get to quietly swap in a Pokemon. You dropped off at a nature reserve 3 episodes ago because the matchup got rough. Ash essentially ran a revolving door roster across multiple arcs with referees apparently too polite to ask basic paperwork questions. C tier. Glalie evolves mid-battle during the Evergrande Conference. Snorunt was on the official roster. Glalie is a different Pokemon. Different weight class, it went from a small round snowball to an enormous floating ice head the size of a boulder. Tournament registration works on declared Pokemon. You submit what you're bringing. Snorunt and Glalie are not the same entry. Every competitive format that has ever existed treats pre-evolution and evolution as distinct. Ash's registered Snorunt became an unregistered Glalie mid-round, while the referee stood there apparently filing it under no notes. And somehow it worked. Glalie went on to contribute meaningfully to Ash's Evergrande run on a roster that technically no longer matched its paperwork. A tier. Rowlet battles in the Alola League wearing a decorative cape, a physical, tangible, external accessory gifted to him by Tokan. And here's the thing, it actually mattered. When Rowlet gets caught inside a Z-move shell during the match, the cape physically enables the escape. It altered the outcome of a tournament battle through an external object that Ash did not disclose and that no opponent could have prepared a counter strategy against. Every combat sport on Earth bans undisclosed equipment. The Alola League apparently checked for nothing because a bird wearing a tiny superhero cape walked into a semi-final and the ref gave it a full standing ovation by doing absolutely nothing. The cape didn't just accessorize Rowlet, it saved him in an official match that nobody flagged. S tier. Tobias shows up to the Sinnoh League with a full legendary roster. Then he sends out Latios, a psychic dragon legendary. Ash sends out Pikachu. Pikachu, against a legendary dragon that clock speeds no standard Pokemon, should realistically match. And here's where it gets genuinely unhinged. Pikachu starts eating direct hits from Latios, but somehow Pikachu is still standing. The show just quietly decided Pikachu's friendship points had apparently been maxed out and left everyone else to do the math on why a Pokemon 3 tiers below a legendary was absorbing its attacks like a punching bag that simply refused to cooperate with physics. Tobias, by every legitimate measure, should have swept Ash's entire team without losing a Pokemon. Instead, he loses Latios, S tier. Subscribe to the channel for more tier lists.